All right. So, hi, my name is Madison. Just a little bit of background about me. I'm a health systems management major, and I'm planning on graduating in December of this year. Uh, After school, I would like to go back to get my master's in business administration and potentially get a job working in quality management slash improvement. We took a class on that in this degree, and that was a big area of interest to me. I think that it would be a great place to grow and learn within the healthcare system. And then I would like to move on into a management and then supervisory position in the future. Um, a little bit of history. I've worked as a CNA for several years in different positions and settings. I also worked for a call center within Atrium Health, and we answered the phones for about 18 doctors' offices. And then my most recent position is a patient services representative, as well as an intake coordinator for a durable medical equipment company. And I feel like, my wide range of experience has really set me up with good skills that'll help me transition into a management position within the healthcare system soon. Two little fun facts about me. I really like to travel. I've been on 2 cruises pre-COVID, and I love traveling. One of my favorite places was the Turks and Caicos, and this is a picture of the water there. It's so pretty. I'm really hoping to get back into traveling soon. And then another interesting fact, when I worked as a CNA, I worked at the hospital in Concord, and this picture was taken at the beginning of the pandemic. We just people in the community had written on our sidewalk. This was the employee entrance, and a lot of people had written on the sidewalk just very encouraging words, and stating that we were vital to the community, just letting us know that we were needed and appreciated in the community as the pandemic was really taking a lead. So for communication, I've added 2 artifacts here. The first one being an email with a professor, just discussing a grade I'd received. I wasn't very happy with it, and I reached out to the professor to try to schedule a meeting to discuss what I could do. It ended up being much more simpler than that, and a meeting was not needed, but it just goes to show the communication skills that I have regarding professors and needing to discuss issues that I've had. For my other artifact, I chose to use a previous work example. This is a picture of Microsoft Teams. It was used a lot with my previous job, and we used it to communicate with other employees and our managers. It's just very informal compared to the email with my professor. And it was an easy way to communicate back and forth, just simple little, hey, I need this, or hey, can you help me out with this? Just a quick question type of thing. And I feel like both of these are really good examples of how I can use professionalism in communication, whether it be a formal presentation or an informal presentation of communication. And for leadership, one example I chose to add is taking the lead with group work. Over the years of being in college, I've learned that you can't wait on others to start messaging each other when it comes to group work. It's just kind of something that I always take initiative on now because I don't like waiting on other people. So these are just 2 little screenshots of me reaching out, checking in with other group members, trying to divide up work, all those sorts of things in a professional manner, but just making sure that I'm taking responsibility for the work of the group. And then for my non-academic artifact, I chose to put in an excerpt of or a screenshot of the hospital unit I used to work on. I worked on a heart floor, and this was a decoration done at Christmas. It's just a heart rhythm at the bottom of the desk here. And it was done by a committee that, is just created on the unit just to kind of help, decorate with holidays or plan baby showers, birthdays, holiday parties, that sort of thing. It's not something that I had to be a part of. It's something that I chose to be a part of. And I was the original, or I had the original idea of creating a heart rhythm at the bottom of the desk. So I felt like that really showed leadership, especially since it was something that wasn't required of me as part of working on the team at the hospital. It was something that I had chosen to do. All right. And for professionalism, I chose one artifact of a cover page for an APA paper that I wrote last fall. I had never really learned how to write an APA paper in regards to like a teacher teaching me. It was something that I kind of had to teach myself. In high school, we used MLA, and then I got to college and we were required to know APA. So it was just something that I had kind of taught myself and that I'm pretty proud of learning, because it can be kind of difficult to figure out that specific style of writing. So here's just the title page of that. And then for another artifact, I've chosen to put in an email, again with a colleague this time. This was a picture of an email of when I first got the job at a call center. And it's between myself and one of my future managers, just trying to figure out information on my first day of work, going ahead and, trying to align everything up for that day. But it really just showed my professionalism with reaching out and trying to take initiative with getting everything in place for my new job. And for knowledge of healthcare, I have chosen one artifact to be an excerpt from a paragraph that I had written in a paper from the fall semester last year. I was in a service learning course. We were instructed to meet with an older individual once a week. We had prompts to discuss every week. Of course, you were allowed to branch out from those prompts, but the prompts were mainly to line up with the papers that were written every week. And this class really opened my eyes. I've worked with a lot of older adults, but this class was just a little different because it's more personal, and it was different because we were meeting in a very weird way. All of my other encounters have been with work, and this one was school, and I actually had to call my service learning partner initially, which was not something I was comfortable with, but it ended up working out great. And I felt like that was a really, really good experience, and getting to know what a possible job could hold with reaching out to older adults and, kind of cold calling, if you would say. Then my other artifact I chose for professionalism is a picture of my badge from when I worked at the hospital. I worked with Atrium Health for 2 years. For 1 year, I worked as a CNA, and then the other year, I worked at the call center. And I feel like that just really demonstrates my knowledge of the healthcare system by being in 2 different positions within the same healthcare system. It says a lot. And I think that, working as a CNA says and teaches you a lot about the healthcare system. Your basically the bottom of the food chain. Um, it's not for everyone. And I just feel like being a CNA is it's set me up to be such an essential part of a healthcare system in the future just because of everything you see and everything that you're doing and working in that healthcare system right there. It just really gives you so much knowledge about the healthcare system itself. Um, and I've worked in the healthcare system for about 6 years or so now. Um, and it's just, I feel like getting all of this experience before venturing out into the real world, so to speak, after graduation, it's really given me like a leg up, so to speak, just because I have had several different positions within the healthcare system, different locations and different companies. You're just getting so much insight as to what is needed, what is expected, just kind of how things work in general. And then for business skills and knowledge, I chose to insert a screenshot of my resume. I feel like this is a really good example of business skills. It's basically setting yourself up for success when it comes to getting a new job and getting a job after graduation. I've had to tweak my resume several times, and it's not perfect. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, but I think that it is good enough to where I'm confident that I would be fine with submitting it to possible future employers right now as it is, and that it would be something to be looked at. I don't know, I guess just from having to redo it every couple of years after getting a new job, or, switching jobs and trying to fit them and tailor them to possible new jobs needs. It's just something that I've kind of like had a grasp on and am able to understand what is needed and expected from a resume. And then for my final artifact, I've chosen to add a resignation letter, or a copy of my resignation letter from my most recent or my last job. I feel like having a resignation letter is something that is not as common lately. And to actually be able to send one to a manager really shows a lot. I was working remotely at that point, so I had messaged my manager and said, "Hey, I really need to talk to you." We talked via Zoom, and then I was like, I would like to email you my resignation letter just so we have it, in writing, everything that's going on. And that is what ended up happening. And I feel like it's just a good way to leave a position. It's very professional, and it, kind of leaves a mark, so to speak, on me as an employee with my manager. And overall, I feel like combining my education with my healthcare field experience, I feel like I have a decent background, so to speak, going into graduation and looking into getting a job. And I am very excited to see what the future holds.